You're with Britain's News and GB News with Andrew Bismarck-Turner. Now we're going to talk about something called the Disinformation Unit, set up by the government. A lot of MPs, unlikely alliance, David Davis and the Tories, Green Party leader Caroline Lucas, are unhappy about it. David Davis joins us now. David, morning. What do you think he's there? You are there. David, morning. Tell us what this Disinformation Unit is, what it's supposed to do, and why you're very unhappy with it.
Well, it was started back in 2019 after all the concern over interference in elections and so on from foreign bodies, as it were, foreign nations. And for that reason, that was a perfectly sensible thing to have. But as soon as COVID started and the government started reacting to COVID, it started to use it bluntly as a way of trying to control free speech, or actually eliminate free speech and control people's opinions. And so when someone like me, for example, wrote an article about the models that were being used to forecast deaths and so on. You know, I've written dozens of models in my life, and so I wrote saying this is a bad this model's badly written, it's very poor and doesn't predict very well, and so on. I was suddenly put on a list of people who had to be kept an eye on. And other people, Caroline Lucas in a similar way. When I spoke at party conference about vaccine passports, not vaccines incidentally, but vaccine passports, and what a bad idea they were. Again, suddenly I got cancelled by YouTube. Now, we don't know whether the government actually made that intervention, but it sounds quite likely the sort of thing they were doing anyway. And so what's happened is the government has tried to suppress real debate. And real debate with members of parliament, who should always have the right to reflect their constituents and say what they think needs to be said. That's how we get at the truth. So that was the problem. But it wasn't just them; it was also scientists, really serious scientists, questioning, whether or not, for example, we should give vaccines to children. Because children are not at risk from COVID particularly, but they are at risk from vaccine side effects. So all those sorts of things, the government was basically trying to impose its view of the world on society.
And of course, this has only come out, David, because people like you and also me, I did a subject access request on me. I'm on this list as well because I was questioning some of the reactions, of course, because I quite publicly spoke out, again, like you, wanting to have the debate, wanting to ask the proper scientific questions, wanting a proper risk-benefit analysis of a lot of the decisions that are being made. So have the government now fronted up and said, yes, this is what we are doing and this is why we are doing it? Have we had an official statement from this department to explain their motives?
Yeah, well, no, it's not really fronted up. I mean, there was a wonderfully mealy-mouthed comment from some press officer, I gather, which said, "Oh, we're not tracking individuals, we're tracking narratives." Well, what the devil does that mean? Of course they're tracking individuals. We're going onto lists of people who have to be kept an eye on. That's what tracking individuals is all about. So it's bonkers. My hunch, by the way, is that Michelle Donnellan, who's the cabinet minister who is responsible for this, isn't terribly comfortable herself. There was a rumour going around that she tried to have it shut down. It stopped. But of course, it's more than one department. There's also an MOD element to it and a cabinet office element to it. And we'll defeat it in the end. I mean, I know the Speaker of the House of Commons is worried about it too. That when Caroline Lucas and I wrote to the government, we also copied him in because he has concerns that the absolute right in a democracy is for the representatives of the people to have their say, and as you say, to try to get the truth. I mean, a lot of the people who say, "Oh, well, these are scientists who are saying these things," have got no understanding of how science works. The most famous book about science is called Conjecture and Refutation. So you put up a theory and you try and knock it down. And these people simply are really just trying to control the debate, and they shouldn't be allowed to do that.
So, David, what do you want to happen? Do you want this unit to be shut down or to be just more transparent?
No, I want it. A little bit of both. I want it shut down because I think it's proven it's not fit for purpose. Yeah. And if we are going to have something to monitor, let's say, foreign interference in elections, and given this morning's news about the Chinese putting spies into the candidate system, we probably have to do that. It should be absolutely transparent to Parliament. I'd probably have a select committee oversee it, so that we make sure that this sort of nonsense doesn't go on. You know, it's very dangerous. I mean, and truth is, you know, bluntly, I would put my view, my opinion of science above that of Matt Hancock any day.
Yeah, and me.
But I'd certainly put people like Carl Hennigan and, you know, even Nobel Prize winners over and above the opinions of the government. And he pointed out, even today, we don't really know whether masks work, for example. You know, there are different opinions on that, still haven't been proven. The arguments about lockdown are still going on. You know, Sweden probably had the best results in the world, and they didn't have lockdown at all. So these things are still up for debate, and we shouldn't sort of pretend the government's view is the truth. That's, after all, that's what the Soviets did. You know, so we shouldn't be doing that in this country.
So that would have been, if that was set up in 2019, David, that was under Boris Johnson's watch.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, that's right. And you know, it may even have been the very end of Theresa May's watch. I don't know, but it was in response. The initial response, I think, is perfectly sensible, which was, oh look, we're worried about Russia in particular meddling in our elections. Now we probably would worry about China, and that's reasonable to keep an eye on that. But
not watching our own citizens.
This is nothing like what that was intended for. And that's the other outcome of not having proper surveillance and proper transparency. Parliamentary surveillance, and proper transparency. If you leave governments to do these things, they almost invariably go off the rails. You know, they almost invariably end up using it for their own purpose, and that's why you've got to control it. So that's why I say shut this down. Frankly, shut this down.
Yeah.
And then if you want to have a special unit, you put it subject to a parliamentary committee and do it that way.
Yeah.
All right, that's David Davis.
Thank you, David.
MP. Always good to talk to you, David.
Thank goodness for MPs like him.
Well, and it's great that he's joining forces with the Green Party
It
leader,
really is.
Caroline Lucas. It shows it's a cross-party matter. It shouldn't be party-pre, and he wants it shut down. And you know what? It won't be.